And I'm gonna hope we are live. Let me check something here. My channel. Yes, it is showing live. And I'm gonna do a pop-out chat here if I can. Yes, there it is. Now, what I'm trying to do, hopefully this will work. So I can watch in real time the chat. Okay, that's on mute. Everything looks set up well. Oh, okay. That's just a little warning that I popped out the chat. And this is a preview I want. That's the chat I want. Okay. So, don't want to do that, then I'm covering it. And the last thing I will do is, let's see. Here I am. I want to monitor on my iPad. And I'm going to go ahead and go full screen on that. Let me see, speed-wise, a little speed test this morning. Yep, okay, boy, that's quite a delay. It's very interesting behind the scenes from what you all hear to what I see. So I notice there's one or two people in the room. I'd like to say good morning. And let's get a little action going on this. A little sharing this morning. We'll do a Twitter share. Okay. And let's put it live now. Out. All right. And let's go ahead and hit Facebook with it. And we'll do that live now. See what happens. And there we go. All right. So we got that covered. I'm going to bring my chat back up. And my window that shows me live time, so that the lag doesn't mess me up. So, all right, good morning, good afternoon, good night. Well, not good night, you'd be asleep. Well, if you're going to bed, you can watch this later. You may have heard my air conditioning in my office just kick in. I don't know if that messes with the sound or not. Anyhow, I have here a sketch by Mike Zeck, my longtime friend and collaborator. So we're going to ink this in live time, real time. Or we're going to try and see if it doesn't go too long. So what I might do is get it outlined and get the blacks ready to fill in, give it time to dry. Yes, I do on these. I don't use real ink. This is Strathmore 300 series, and using real ink on it tends to bleed too much for what I like. So I use these Kuretake brush pens that are archival and handle very well. They're a little bit stiffer than a normal brush. You can get them at Jet Pens. That's Jet, like a plane, pens.com. And let's see if the shine's not going to get in the way. Not sure what the model number is, but this is a dual tip. It basically, I got tired of buying the fine tip and the broad tip, so they do make one that has both tips on it, which is very handy. Then I also use a Micron 005 for tiny details, a S, which I think is for fine, not super fine. That would be an XS a pit brush, because it gives me more more of a softer feel than the Kuretake. And last, this big fat pit brush for filling in the solid block areas. So what I'm going to do is get the base inking down and let it dry, maybe come back this afternoon. So I'm getting some text messages from my wife and my friends. So let me take care of these real quick. Sorry about it, but when you go live, life happens. And enter the wife real quick. There we are. Okay. So I'm breaking in a new one. I have a few that have been lying around. I don't know how good the quality is going to be, so I figured I would just start with a new one. And usually when I start with a new one, I go into a dark area or something and just kind of work it, break it in a little bit. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to get started, and I will try to monitor the chat as much as I can. But what I would like to do is give you all a kind of behind the scenes peek if we were at a convention or something, or somewhere else where you were able to see me work live. And as I said, if any questions pop up that I catch, I will be looking occasionally. Then I will try to answer to the best of my ability. So see, it's something just like as easy as starting with the eyes. And gotta give a quick okay to my wife, Bella. She's letting me know that Jacob got to school fine. It was a little cloudy out here this morning, and I didn't know if I was going to have to run back home and take him. Okay. Hold on it. Sorry about this, but these are the distractions that can happen. And hey, is it really a distraction? It is. She is my wife, and it is something she has to ask me about a water delivery. So she just wanted to know if we were getting water delivered today. And I told her yes, they are scheduled to stop by, and that way she'll be able to listen to them. Sometimes they don't knock. I don't like to put the empty water containers out for pickup, because if the weather does get bad, they can blow, down the yard or down the street, out in the yard, wherever. the guy has to come up to the house anyway. I usually just ask him, hey, could you knock on the door? Let us know you're here. Put the new water in the garage, pick up the empties, and simplify life. So anyway, what's going on your Monday? Now you know that that's one of the little life things that's going on in mine. And hey, I understand this is not the most exciting thing to watch. However, I'm trying to find the content that people are wanting to see. And I enjoy watching people work. Uh, most people tend to be able to produce at a pretty rapid rate. Um, I am fairly slow at working. It's part of just being, you know, I think my meticulous self. I enjoy doing art faster. However, on a commission piece like this, I'll, I'll kind of, my thought process is this. Okay, somebody is buying this not after the fact that it was published, because it's never been published and it's not intended for publication. So, number one, I would say they are buying the original art experience from Mike Zeck and myself, two creators they like, and they want a really good example of what we do. Um, when something's been published, that's a different ballgame. Um, I may not have a lot of time, or I may have spent a lot of time on it. It was published, it's out on the market, or maybe it's not out on the market, depending on the piece. It might be off the market. Private collector may have it and is not willing to give it up. So, convention sketch or commission piece. And those are usually the collectors, like I say, that I feel are looking for a really good example of work done by creators whose work they have a liking to. Now, having said that, I think it all depends on your prior work, what they've seen. There is an expectation, I believe, on what style you're going to uh, give them. You know what they're looking for, and that can be a burden. I fully admit that it can be a burden. Um, I call it my because I love loose artwork. I love it when somebody just gets in there and really can handle something quickly. Um, you see these nice broad strokes of paint or ink wash or texture, whatever. Um, Now, having said that, I enjoy it, and I've done a few pieces that way and enjoy doing it. Most people are familiar with what they've seen printed by Mike and I believe that's what they expect when they purchase a commission is that is that thing that they've seen that they're familiar with. So if I turned something into them that was any less, they might be a bit confused. They might say, well, you know, this isn't like, this piece of work is not how you normally ink Mike. Or, you know, maybe Mike drew something a little different. There's been a few cases. Punisher piece we did last year. Last year, 2017, early 2017, maybe 2016. I really loved. Mike kind of gave him the John Berthnall Punisher haircut where it was kind of razored on the sides. That is on my Instagram. It is posted there if you'd like to see it. So it's very interesting that, you know, when Mike handed it to me, he even told me, you know, that he kind of went experimental and, you know, gave him more of a kind of a faded military cut like the actor wears in the series. So sometimes there's little things like that that we do that are not 100% you know, what we would normally do. Never had any complaints. In fact, I believe we actually explained to the person picking it up, you know, that we had kind of modeled the hair after how John Bernthal was wearing his hair in the series. That's the last one Mike ever did. I don't know if he didn't like it or just backed off of continuing that way, but I really thought it was cool. And maybe next year on the convention scene somewhere, he'll produce another one with that hair, with that type of haircut. And if it gets a little quiet, it's just because I'm concentrating. I wish I don't know what the legalities of music or other such background noise would be. So basically, it's me trying to have a conversation, I guess, with myself or explaining what I'm doing, having some water to keep my voice going. And just want to say thanks to the people that are watching. Thanks for stopping in, whether you're here for the duration or here for just a couple minutes to say hey or see what's going on. As I said, the chat room is open for questions. So if you're interested in asking, please do. Now, this is one thing I see when I get a character like Batman with all this cloak work, and I use this fine point brush pen. It's a bit of a waste of time in a sense. I do want to get the drawing of the jawline right, so that's kind of why I use it. But when I go to fill the blacks in, it's a little thinner, and I usually wind up, if you watch the Snake Eyes, my first video I recorded here for YouTube, and it's still up, that was basically me just filling in blacks on a piece that I had already done this type of work too. And I got to thinking, you know, I should bring out my softer brush and really um, take care of some of the, you know, of the drapery, the folds in the cowl and stuff as I go. However, I will, even though these are brush markers, they don't dry as fast as you may assume, or what I've even assumed. They take a while, and I have smeared them before, both this one that I'm working with now, the Kuretake, and the Pit. So it's also a matter of me being aware of smudging. So kind of a drawback. Regular ink tends to dry faster, which is interesting, unless it's really laid down heavily. Then not so much. So it's all just a process of what works, what I've found out that works, and what I've found out that can cause me problems or headaches by smearing. So I said even the dry time on these, you know, I mean 10, 15 minutes is fine, but any less than that and you go to erase the pencil and it can get messy. I've had them smear before and that is not fun. And this one is actually for a friend of mine. We will call him the James because that is his nickname. And he's been waiting pretty patiently on this. So, as always, I want to give him my best effort. Not just because he's a friend of mine, but because he deserves it. Anybody that gets work from me deserves the best I can do under, and I will qualify, under the given circumstances. Now, what I mean by that is, okay, I'm here in my studio, but I am recording this, which really makes no difference. Trying to chat makes a little bit, not a lot. But I guess my main thing is I'm not in a convention setting where somebody is going to come up and accidentally bump my table, um, which has happened. And luckily, I've never had one that has made my pen go like completely across the drawing or anything. It's usually, you know, if it's interfered with anything, it may be in a black area or something like that. So no big deal. You know, that's an easy fix. I'm going to fill it in black anyway. But moral of the story is, while I don't mind people approaching the table and watching me work at conventions, and most of the time the people that are actually watching, you know, they do tend to keep their distance a little bit because I think they are concerned about um, you know, bumping the table or something. I always find it's the guy down at the end of my table who maybe just got some books signed either by myself or somebody else, or who just takes the corner of my table and needs to rearrange some stuff, not to do with me, just wants to rearrange some stuff, and they just drop their backpack down on my table and don't realize until after the fact that, hey, pay attention to what you're doing, you know, kind of, you're, I don't really mind if you're going to use my table for a second, but take it easy because I might be working on something. And if that gets ruined by something you did, you might be ponying up some money to have it redrawn. I suppose. I mean, it hasn't happened to me yet, and I'm glad it hasn't. Anyway, that's just me doing a little pontificating about working at shows. Now, when I take work back to the hotel room, which is about every night of the convention except for Sundays when the show's over, if I have one that couldn't get to, uh, I'll ask the person like James, hey, do you want me to, is it okay if I take this home and work on it and get it in the mail to you? And that's always been fine. I've never had anybody not want that. I have had people concerned, um, with good reason. I mean, they're laying out money and anything can happen. I mean, anything. I mean, I could lose the drawing or it could get damaged. Then I kind of, I have to go to Mike, say, hey, buddy, this drawing got crumpled in my bag. Uh, can you take the time to redo it? and, and then at that point, I don't know, does Mike, does he charge me to redraw it? I don't want to find out. How about we just leave it at that? I think that's the best thing. All right, so going to get into a little face detail. So I will get out my smaller pen and to work on the drawing here. A little bit of this hatching I want to be lighter. But we're still blending it into the black shadow here. And Mike has a little bit of indication of that. All right. And as my mind wonders as I work on this. It just came to me that I've been pondering whether I should do the New York Comic Con next year. Whether I should see about getting into that. I don't know. The interesting thing is I've heard from multiple sources conflicting, semi-conflicting reports. I've heard some people have had a great show. I've seen pictures of the crowd, and I've seen pictures of empty floors. So I am kind of perplexed now, because it seemed to me when we were in Baltimore that everybody that was going to New York, you know, number one, they were asking if Mike and I were going to show up, and we were saying no. And other people were telling me what a great show it was. So I'll wait until a few people I know that did attend and that will talk to me about it, and that will open up and give me, you know, raw numbers, like what their expenses were, because New York is one of those shows that if you go to, you're pretty much paying your way to be there. So you kind of have to make sure that not only are you going to recoup what you laid out, but that you come out with a good profit, because it's a 4-day show from what I understand. I know some people don't do the Thursday, but if there's people there and the show's going on, I tend to do the 4 days. You know, why not? It's another day to work and make revenue. And I also know it's another day that you have to stay somewhere and pay that money. So, you know, kind of a catch-22, maybe. However, I'm going to look into it. I'm going to look into New York more so than San Diego, which I kind of considered, but I talked to 4 people, and those 4 people were kind of nicely telling me, stay home. And when I say nicely, it's just, you know, I think they were saying it's, you know, it wouldn't be worth my time and money to come out. And, you know, like I said, they shared their numbers with me, so I know they're being honest about what it would cost me on the East Coast, number one, to get out there, to set up, and to pay lodging, food, all the other expenses. that go along with that show. So yeah, that, while I like the idea, I was at San Diego once in 1984 with my buddy Mike Zeck, who I'm inking right now, and that was to promote Secret Wars. And Marvel at that time actually sent us out to do that promotion while we were still working on the book. So, you know, and we did a comic book store appearance before the big show. So we were literally, I think we were out there, or at least gone, maybe travel days included, 10 days. 10 days of being away from working on Secret Wars. And I can tell you exactly for a fact, it was issue 8, the one where Spider-Man gets his black costume. And that's why if you look at the book, I think I inked maybe half of it, maybe not quite half, but I did ink the cover. That was done before. So that's the only time I've been there. And that's been a long time. It was big then. I understand it's quite a bit bigger now. So, gonna have to think about that one. Well, I think I already have thought about it enough to know that financially it would not be to my benefit, and professionally I don't think it would be either. So I have no shows booked. Baltimore was the last one that was on my schedule. Now that doesn't mean something can't pop up before the end of the year, but I don't think I have anything else that's going to happen show-wise until 2019. Then we'll start again. Start again on the trail. It's it is work, but it is fun. You don't really get to spend the time with people that you haven't seen in a while, fellow professionals, friends, acquaintances. You try to, but I guess, you know, I guess if you're not seeing them and they're not seeing you, you both are having a good show, and you're, you know, servicing your fans by being there for them, and you're, you know, you're making some money, which is the point of being at a show. To be truthful, if I wasn't making money at shows, I couldn't justify spending the time that I do to travel to them. And that's not a remark I take lightly. It's just, you know, that's the reality of it. Uh, yes, James. James just sent me a messenger. This is your Batman piece, if you can hear me. Let's give it a... You know, this camera is not very far away from the artwork. The interesting thing is, you know, here's my hand, nice and clear. I don't know, a foot maybe, but let's you can kind of get a better idea of the detail, the pen strokes. Let me send him a text right back. Just give him a quick shout back. Oh, that was my wife. Okay. So, that's going to be a little lighter there. So I'm going to go with a pen. Okay. Gonna save my chunky feathering for when I feel like getting into it. Let's just see if I can't there we go. All right. This is going to take some feathering, but I can go ahead and kind of give myself a guideline. And, those I should do with a softer brush, the bigger ones. These, I mean, this brush is soft, don't get me wrong, but if, you know, if you could compare, if you yourself know how to compare them or hold them in your hand and just draw a line with it, you would kind of know what I mean about being a stiffer brush marker than the pit. And I like the way they both work together. It's almost like a pen and a brush if I was using real ink, the way I would mix them up, maybe. Because when I use real ink, boy, that's a big if these days, if the materials are good, or I should say good enough, then I will definitely do as much as I can with a brush. And if they're just so-so, then it might be 50-50 brush and nib work, and it may even be more nib work and then brush work for juicier stuff, because the paper will tend to grab even on this paper, the fiber will pull up and you'll get like a little ball of fiber on the tip of your brush. Well, not even the brush, but on a nib, you can really get like something that's you got to be careful that you don't, you're looking to do a fine line and all of a sudden there's this little ball of fuzz on the end that you don't notice, and you put it down and you put your pen nib down on the paper and blotch, you got like something you didn't want. I'll just say that. And you got to work around it. Okay. It's going to be a little bigger. That's okay. Just kind of looking it over. I kind of like that Mike didn't blacken in this bat on his chest, but I meant to ask him, did he want me to kind of just, taper the black down, cross hatch it down, kind of artistically blend it down into a white or something, but I think I'm going to leave it as it is. That could change if it, once I get it done and I'm like, wow, that really doesn't work. But in pencil, it looks great. So we're going to keep that the way that is looking. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a quick break to use the men's room. And hopefully, let's see, is it going to work this way? Away from keyboard, be right back. But I think it's backwards, but I can't write backwards. Well, I guess I could. So I'm going to leave it like that for the time being, run out to the restroom since I've been drinking what I had this morning. I had a seltzer water. I had some unsweetened green tea, and now I'm having a big glass of water. So I will be back in a few short minutes. If anybody comes in, feel free to chat with them, and I will be right with you. Voila. Okay, so I take no questions so far. It's fine. Hopefully this is entertaining enough. And we're going to, let's see. Get a little bit of all right. Some of this feathering, which I just did, needs to be a little more delicate, at least to me. That's the way I see it. So kind of use both tools to blend it in, especially this being my first piece of the day. Sometimes that plays a factor into excuse me, I gotta work on my voice here. I don't know what it is, but I think I'm being very cautious about it because the microphone is right in my camera and the camera is right here. I mean, right here. So trying to keep my voice at a low tone where it doesn't sound like I'm shouting. But when I can afford it and I can get a Blue Yeti microphone that I can control, hopefully, that'll be very, very good. But we're not there yet, so no big deal. We will continue on with what we have and get the other stuff as the channel grows and as I get more comfortable streaming. Well, I'm fairly comfortable streaming since I did it before, back on Ustream. And when was that? 2010, 2011, 2012, somewhere around that crazy 2-year thing. Ustream was quite popular, and there was a lot going on, and it was fun. I enjoyed it a lot, and I had a good setup on my drawing board that was ready to go. Anytime I wanted to stream, I just had to turn the computer on, go over to my live stream channel, and bang, I was streaming. Now, I did have a semi-schedule on Ustream. I did a Wednesday night commission piece every Wednesday for a while. People would, and they were in color actually, markers. What I would do is, because same thing with this, the pencils were so light, I would have it inked, and then I would just apply the color to the piece as the audience watched. Or actually, I had it outlined and I could color it in, then I would go back in. How good memory served me. Then I would go back in with with my darker shaded blacks and bring the piece together. So if you're interested, Google Ustream TV John Beatty Live, and I think, not 100% sure, but I think there's still some of those older older streaming things in their history. I think it still exists. I don't know if I could still stream on Ustream or not. I haven't kept up with their interface, how they work now, how to go live, all that other stuff. And I'm just trying to learn YouTube now via Google Hangouts, which that allows me to do this. I think there's another way to do it. I think I can just go live if I want to. The reason I choose the Google Hangouts is if I wanted to bring somebody in, and that's something I need to find out. If I wanted to bring somebody in, like Craig, as a co-host, I could. If I'm just streaming live by myself, I'm not sure that option is available. Therefore, the Google Hangout option. Okay. Now I'm deciding that I should probably do where his cape start. I should probably use my softer brush just to give myself a little head start on filling in the blacks. When I get there, I got to work on a little bit more here. Got to give his chin this feathering. And some little feathering that's going into black over here on his jaw. And I think I need to see, this is where I get fussy with stuff. And it costs me extra time. But hey, you're worth it. I always want people to know that I appreciate that they support my work and give me time to do the job that I want to give to them. So, let's see. Mike had a few more little bits of shading here in the brow. And these little things aren't showing up on the stream. I'm probably pretty sure they're not there. But on the original, they're going to show up nice. When I get a good scan up, you'll see the detail. And you'll kind of get to see what you didn't see on the live stream. So I'm trying to decide if I should end it now and do this part. And then come back and then just, do the rest of the outlining, fill in the blacks, and that'll be part 2. We also got some transition of lighting going on at the top of his head. So I'm going to handle that right now. And I'd like to invite you, those of you who have stayed around this long, or maybe have fast forwarded and just happened to stop at this point. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel and liked it, please do. It's something I want to continue and grow. So your support is very welcome, very needed, and I would appreciate it. All right, let me think about something here, because this is going to take some drawing before I erase it. That's why I haven't done the other work yet, because let's see how this is the more wet, softer brush. They start out stiff when they're new, and this is a new one. But boy, they get on this paper, they get mushy really quick, which is not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. That's why I like the difference. They give me a totally different type of feel to my line than the Kuretake. With that tweet from yesterday with Dematis is still getting likes and retweets and stuff. It's really kind of funny. That thing was coming in big time yesterday. I almost wanted to turn off my Twitter notifications. Okay, so you can kind of see, maybe, see the thicker, kind of a thicker, bold, even that this thin, this thinner one's getting. That the Kuretake does it. Now, I can work with this and make it a little bit thinner, but it doesn't bounce back as good as the Kuretake once the nib of it is mushed down some. But like I said, that's fine, because it gives me a chance to do this type of stuff, which is kind of filling in the blacks and giving the cloak this, kind of silky, leathery, whatever texture Batman's cape and cowl would be made out of. So that is a good thing. Oh boy, somebody's awake. Myself, I've been up since 4. I get up early, go to bed early, or try to. Basically, I go to bed when I'm tired, so sometimes, yeah, it's real early. But you know what? When I try to fight it sometimes and then I can't get to sleep, not good, man. Now, there was some feathering down here, which is nice, because I'm going to use this brush to add it in while I'm right here. And Mike also had some here. I can still see it. I'm sure you can't on the stream, but I know it's there. And then we get a Twitter alert. All right, so I hope, I think what I'm going to do, let's see, does this help if I turn it around? I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and end this cast, finish doing, the outlining type of stuff and that, give you all a break, let myself stand up and stretch a little bit, come back. I'll have it ready to just slam the solid blacks in and sign it and finish this piece up. And then we'll have part 2 of this inking Batman demo. So you won't miss much. You'll miss this area here in the cape, but I've already shown you a little bit of how I'm going to handle that. All right, sound like a good deal? Thanks for tuning in. Watch for the announcement later. I don't know how long. It depends on what else I have to take care of, but I appreciate you who have stopped in and hang in there with me as we get this channel moving and get it growing and have a lot of fun with it. Thanks, and I will see you soon. Take care.